Friends, this is Scott, and this is early May down at the hobby farm. This is why we don't plant summer vegetables until the end of May, because we definitely have frost, and it got down in probably the high 20s, and so the neighbor's irrigation water froze in the trees and out on the pasture. So yeah, way too early to be planting anything that's subject to frost. Now take a look at the garden, the main garden area, and you can see the edging is very poor. The weeds have grown up. And it's been a week since I've been down here, since I mowed last, and I don't even know what these weeds are called, but they're just everywhere. So it's time, with a couple weeks to go till the main planting season starts, is I got to get all this dug out, and I want to have some differentiation of the beds. And I'm out of cardboard, so again, I will be smothering grass and weeds when I can, when I have some raw materials. But yeah, it's just elbow grease. And I decided this day I was just going to go through and weed the entire perimeter of this main garden bed, and also weed amongst the garden, amongst the plants that are already planted. So, the cardboard that I put down before I put down all the different layers of soil has done a pretty good job in suppressing weeds. But here's a look at what I have to deal with and everywhere else in the yard until I get all this smothered out. But we got field grass, we got very miscellaneous weeds, and lots of root structure. So yeah, we've got quite a bit to get rid of. But it's all biomass. I can turn all that into black gold too. It'll just take some time to decompose, probably a year, and I'll just throw it in my compost bin, which I'll show you here in a minute. Just let it sit, and it'll eventually break down. But I think these are called white tops or something. They have a white flower on them, and they're just everywhere. They just infiltrate all the beds. But one thing I did notice is I'm finding worms, and that was something that was very lacking. I have brought some organic matter in here, and when you bring it, they will come. And the worms are enjoying this new garden bed. So as I'm ripping out the grass and the weeds, I'm just going to go put it in my compost bin that I was telling you about. Now, this is a 3-bin compost system that I took from the school garden. I originally built that. I used to build them professionally for people in my old business. So I built this one for the school about 15 years ago, and they got tired of it because they weren't using it properly. So I just went ahead and brought it down to the hobby farm. And I'm just going to use it as a static bin. I'm not going to be flipping bins. That's what this is designed for, is to make a hot compost by turning from one bin to the next. I'm not going to use it for that purpose. Now, here's a cricket. You don't see crickets very often. At least I don't. But this property down here has lots of black crickets. So when I'm digging in the soil, they're definitely a soil insect. They like to burrow into the ground. So here's a look at, again, some of the weeds I'm pulling and what I have left to do. And looking from the other direction. So there's a lot here. Now, it'd be easier to mow and then pull these out, but I wanted to get this all tore out before I mowed. And I did get it mowed, so that was good. But yeah, the mower gets bogged down. If you don't mow every week, the grass gets too tall in the weeds. But the frost did kill my potatoes that did sprout early. And so these were russets that, some of them had come up, and as you see, they didn't make it. So hopefully the tubers will still send out new shoots, and we'll have some potato growth. And I did plant white and red potatoes in a separate bed, and those haven't started coming up yet. So we'll have potatoes regardless of what happens. But here's a look at the sweet peas. And as you see all that stuff sticking up there, those are volunteer garlic. That was all the garlic I did not harvest last year. I missed. So each of those bulbs that was in the ground have split into individual cloves that have sprouted and rooted. And I need to get those out of there because I don't think peas and garlic like each other very well. So there's my hori hori. That's my favorite tool to use in the garden, other than my compost screen. And I'm gingerly lifting these garlic plants. I don't want to damage the peas, and so I'm doing my best to not impact them too much. But here's a look at what happens when you leave a head of garlic in the ground and don't pick it. Over time, it all kind of separates and reroots and creates new plants. So all these I'm going to replant over in the garlic section and the onion section. And if you don't know what they are, you just smell them, and you can tell what they are. Garlic have a flat leaf, whereas onions have a rounded leaf. So that's kind of how you tell the difference between those two. But I'm just, like I say, gingerly digging these up and hoping not to impact too many of the peas, if any, because I love sweet peas, and I don't want to sacrifice any because they're hard to grow in my area in Salt Lake because the little birds eat them when the plants are growing. And down here, I don't know if the deer will get to it or if the birds are that smart yet to know what a sweet pea is. So this is an experiment. We'll see if we can get a pea harvest. I'll put in trellises and at least some bamboo with some string to support the peas if they survive big enough to do that. So that'll be coming here in the next couple of weeks. I'll show a video of that. But I'm just going through and, again, lifting them as careful as I can and separate them out, and then I will replant them here in a little bit farther in this video. Here's a look at what I pulled out of the pea bed, and that's all garlic. So there's probably 70, 80 cloves of garlic that I'm planting. And I did have some onions also, and I'm not going to replant those. Those will just go to seed, but I'll just take them in the house and use them as green onions or chives. So we'll be eating those shortly. So there's a look at where I'm going to put them. And again, the main garlic is on the far end, and then I've got onions in between, and then I'm going to use this end of the bed here to plant the rest of these garlic. Now, these did overwinter in the ground, so they should bulb up, but it's kind of another experiment. We'll see how they do. And because they're separate from the other garlic, I'll be able to really tell whether or not, the impact of having them separated and stored and dried before they're replanted, or having them in the ground and just kind of doing their own thing and then separating them out and planting them. But simple process, just digging a little bit of a hole and just separating each plant, putting it by 4 to 6 inches apart, and just, again, prop them in the soil. And that's all there is to it, other than a little bit of mulch and water. Here's a look at how many plants I had from the pea bed. And there's quite a few there. There's probably 70 to 80 as a guesstimate. I didn't count them, but that should, those are all free garlic if they add up. So looking forward to that. Here's a look at the peas. And again, it's so cold down here that, you can sometimes plant peas in February, and again, it's early May, and they've just come up a little bit. They're only an inch and a half tall at the most. So, but pretty good germination. So I'm pleased with the potential for a good pea crop. But we'll see what the animals do to my pea bed, if anything. Now, here is the area closest to the compost bins and also the pet cemetery from the previous owner's pets that have passed away. You see where those rocks are. But I want to get this tidied up too. It's the weeds are gonna come back, and it's a never-ending battle. But yeah, I decided that I wanted to get this area looking much better, and that's what I'm gonna do. Is I'm just gonna do one bed at a time and try to spruce it up. And as you see, the amount of effort it takes to kind of get in here and dig up all this, but I got it done, and it's looking pretty good. Again, I don't know what I'll plant under there. That tree provides a lot of shade. That will help the peas, but it's not going to help other types of plants to grow underneath that tree. So we'll see. And Mr. Lincoln, he doesn't mind the weeds. They're kind of a soft place to lay down. So he enjoyed as the weather is warming a little bit later today. And here we go. I've got it all watered in and after weeding, and looks pretty good. Again, this area is planted again with peas. Next to that's potatoes, and then I have one nice row that I haven't planted anything yet, which will be the carrots, beets, and radishes, as well as some broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage. And then on the far end, we have the garlic, and we have different types of onions, and then more garlic. So yeah, this bed is a much bigger area, to garden this year than I had last year. And so I'm pleased with it. I need to bring in lots more material, organic matter, and continue to build other beds, all in due time. Now, here's a look after I mowed, and you can see the edges. I couldn't get close enough. I didn't want to fall off the cliff there. But we used the grass clippings as a mulch. And so that's working out good. But this is May 6th. In the morning, we're headed home to Salt Lake, and we had some snow and more freezing temperatures. So, yeah, it's 6,300 feet here in kind of central Utah, and you got to be careful because late freezes happen. And again, we're still, Mother's Day is where we usually plant in Salt Lake. I think I'll wait another week down here. I don't think I'll plant any summer vegetables until probably the end of May. Well, thanks for watching this video. And if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button, like, share, and comment, as I'd love to hear from you. And I appreciate you following my journey and living my best rural life in the city and now out in the country at the hobby farm. Thank you.